Master. Look at this thief. This boy I fed. This boy I raised. See what he did. Chibuzo, what is in this bag?
I don't know. It's not mine.
Liar. Open your pocket. What is that? Thief! Hold him. Tie him up now.
No, please. I didn't do it. Get him. Hold it up.
So this is who you are.
Uncle, why are you doing this to me?
The boy didn't steal. It was a set up by his master.
He's right.
I was framed.
Before Lagos, there was Umwagu. That was their village. Red sand roads. Mango trees that dropped fruit into dusty grass. Chickens that acted like they owned the whole place. Chibuzo's family lived behind the small church with the cracked bell. Their house was made of cement, but the paint had peeled off so badly it looked like old skin. Some mornings, Chibuzo would wake up and hear his mother say the same sad sentence. God, please let today be easy. His father, Mr. Nady, was a farmer. A thin man who moved slowly, not because he was lazy, but because life had pressed him down for years. Chibuzo was smart. Everybody said it. His teacher, Mrs. Ifeoma, once held his exercise book up in class and said, "If we had money in this village, this boy would become a doctor." The class laughed. Not because it was funny. Because it sounded like a dream that didn't belong to them. At 12, Chibuzo finished primary school. He stood in front of the school gate that last day, holding his results slip like it was gold. He ran home. "Mama," he shouted. "I passed. I passed everything." His mother smiled, real smile, wide smile, then her eyes turned wet. "Thank God," she whispered. That night, his father sat outside with him under the moonlight. You could hear crickets. You could also hear the neighbor's generator coughing in the distance. His father didn't talk for a long time. Then he said, "Buzo, I want to tell you something." Chibuzo stared at his father's hands. Rough. Dirty nails. Hands that worked hard but still came back empty. "There is no money for secondary school," his father said. Chibuzo swallowed. "But, Papa." His father raised one finger. "Listen. Your mother and I have talked. My brother in Lagos, Okeke, he agreed to take you." Chibuzo's stomach twisted. Lagos was far. Lagos was big. Lagos sounded like a monster. "I will learn work?" Chibuzo asked. "Yes," his father said quietly. "You will learn trade." Chibuzo nodded like he was brave. But inside, he felt something like sadness and anger fighting each other. That night, he heard his mother crying softly in her room. He pretended to sleep. Lagos hit him like hot air. The first place his uncle took him was Oshodi, not even because they had to go there, but because Oshodi was where buses fought for space and people shouted like it was normal. Chibuzo clutched his small nylon bag, eyes wide. A bus conductor yelled, "Alaba! Alaba! Enter with your change." His uncle didn't even look back. "Walk faster," Chief Okeke said. At Alaba International Market, everything moved fast. Shops everywhere. Men calling customers. Music playing from speakers. The smell of fried plantain mixed with dust and sweat. Chief Okeke's store was in one of the crowded lines, electronics spare parts. Chargers. Small generators. Cables. Speakers. The uncle looked successful. Gold ring. Clean native wear. Big belly of someone who ate well. When they got to his house in Ajigunal, Chibuzo expected warmth. He got rules. "You will wake up by 5 a.m., the uncle said. "You will sweep the frontage. You will fetch water. You will not talk too much. If you lie, I will send you back." Chibuzo nodded. He didn't have options. The first week, he cried at night quietly, face buried into his thin pillow so nobody would hear. In the mornings, he acted strong. He learned quickly how to arrange goods neatly, how to tell real products from fake, how to smile at customers even when his feet hurt. Sometimes, when business was good, the uncle would toss him a 50 naira note like a bone to a dog. Buy bread, he'd say. Chibuzo would buy bread. Then he'd break it into tiny pieces so it lasted longer. Years passed. Chibuzo grew taller. Shoulders broader. Palms rough. By 16, he could handle customers alone. By 18, he could calculate profits in his head like magic. Other apprentices got settled. One boy, Emeka, was settled after 5 years. Chief Okeke called him into the shop one afternoon and said, "I'm giving you start-up. Don't disgrace me." Emeka knelt down, crying. Chibuzo watched from the corner, feeling happy for Emeka, but also feeling something tight in his chest. When will it be my turn? Chibuzo didn't see the jealousy at first. It was small things. Like how Chief Okeke's face changed when customers praised Chibuzo. One day, a woman buying a generator said, "This your boy is sharp. He talks well. God will bless him." Chief Okeke smiled, but his eyes didn't smile. Later that night, he told Chibuzo, "Don't form big man. You are still learning." Chibuzo said, "Yes sir." But he felt confused. He didn't form anything. He just worked. Another time, a man from their village came to the market. He stared at Chibuzo and smiled. "Buzo," the man shouted. "You have grown. You are now Lagos man." Chibuzo laughed shyly. The man turned to Chief Okeke and said, "Your apprentice will be bigger than you soon." It sounded like a joke. Chief Okeke didn't laugh. That evening, he didn't give Chibuzo food. When Chibuzo asked, "Uncle, is there food?" the uncle said, "Go and sleep. Hunger will teach you respect." Chibuzo lay on the floor mat, staring at the ceiling, stomach burning. And for the first time, he thought, "Maybe, my uncle doesn't want me to grow." The thought scared him. So he pushed it away. On his 19th birthday, Chibuzo didn't celebrate. He just worked. But that night, he decided to speak. He waited until his uncle had eaten and was watching TV, one of those loud Yoruba movies with dramatic music. Chibuzo knelt down. "Uncle," he began, voice calm, "I have served you. I have been loyal. Please, settle me, so I can start small." The TV volume seemed to drop, even though nobody touched it. Chief Okeke stared at him for a long time. Then he said, "Stand up." Chibuzo stood. The uncle walked to the window and looked outside like he was looking for patience. Then he said, "We will talk in the shop tomorrow." Chibuzo's heart jumped. Tomorrow? That sounded like, yes. That night, Chibuzo barely slept. He kept imagining his own small shop. His own signboard. Sending money home. Building his parents a better house. He felt hope. Big, bright hope. And hope can make you stupid. The next day, the shop was busy. A man in a blue shirt argued over prices. A young boy hawked cold water. A radio played a noisy song. Chief Okeke called Chibuzo behind the counter. "Today," he said, "we will settle everything." Chibuzo nodded quickly. "Yes sir." Then the uncle's face hardened. "Money is missing," he said. Chibuzo blinked. "Money?" "From the safe." Chibuzo's body went cold. "I didn't." "Shut up," the uncle shouted, loud enough for people to turn. Chibuzo felt every eye on him. He tried to breathe. He tried to speak calmly. Uncle, you know me. I don't steal. Chief Okeke's voice turned low and dangerous. Open your pocket. Chibuzo froze. But he obeyed. Slowly, he put his hand into his jeans pocket. His fingers touched paper. His brain screamed, "What is that?" He pulled his hand out. And the money fell. Thud. The world tilted. Chibuzo stared at the cash on the floor like it was a snake. A customer gasped. Someone whispered, "He's been stealing small." Chibuzo shook his head fast. No. No. I swear. Chief Okeke lifted the black bag again and shouted, "See. He has been planning it. A thief in my house." Chibuzo's eyes searched his uncle's face. And what he saw there wasn't anger. It was satisfaction. Like the uncle had been waiting for this. Chibuzo's voice broke. "Uncle. Why are you doing this to me?" Chief Okeke stepped closer. "Because you think you can rise," he said quietly. "You think you can shine." Chibuzo's stomach dropped. He heard it clearly now. This was about light. The uncle wanted to be the only light. The only big name. The only one the village praised. Then Chief Okeke shouted again, louder than before. "Tie him up. Let people see what happens to thieves." Two men from the next shop rushed forward. One grabbed Chibuzo's arm. Another reached for a rope used for tying cartons. Chibuzo jerked back, breathing hard. "Please," he cried. "I didn't do anything. That money is not mine." But the crowd had already chosen a story. And the worst part? Chibuzo saw Chief Okeke nod, just once, like a king giving permission. The rope came toward Chibuzo's wrists. He pulled back again, panic rising like fire in his chest. Then, suddenly, Chibuzo saw something on the floor near the counter. A small brown envelope. Half open. And inside it, he saw his own name written in black marker. Chibuzo Nady. His eyes widened. Because he had never seen that envelope before. And yet, it was there. Like a second trap. Like proof waiting to be found. Chibuzo looked up at his uncle. His uncle's eyes said, "You are finished." And the rope tightened around his wrist. Chibuzo opened his mouth to scream, when a loud voice from the crowd suddenly shouted. "Stop. Everybody, stop." Chibuzo turned fast. And saw a familiar face pushing through the people. A man from his village. One of the elders. And he was holding something in his hand. Something that looked like a phone, playing a video. "Stop. Everybody, stop." The voice cut through the noise like a sharp knife. The rope was already tight around Chibuzo's wrist. It burned his skin. One of the men holding him smelled like sweat and engine oil. Chibuzo turned his head. It was Pa Sunday, an elder from Umwaga village. A short, dark man with gray hair and a walking stick he didn't really need but liked to carry anyway. He pushed through the crowd like he had no fear of anybody. In his other hand, he was holding a small phone. And it was playing a video. "Untie that boy," Pa Sunday said, breathing hard. "Now." Chief Okeke frowned. "What is this nonsense? This is my shop." Pa Sunday didn't answer. He simply lifted the phone higher so people could see the screen. The video showed the inside of the shop. The same counter. The same safe. The same flickering light. And in the video, Chief Okeke was alone. He opened the safe. He counted money. Then, very calmly, he took a bundle and slid it into an envelope. He wrote something on it. And then he walked toward the apprentice's corner. The video shook a little, like it was recorded secretly. The crowd went silent. You could hear a generator humming somewhere down the street. Chibuzo's heart pounded in his ears. The rope loosened. One of the men holding him stepped back slowly. Chief Okeke's face changed. Not red. Not angry. Just, tight. This is fake, the uncle said quickly. Edited. Pa Sunday pressed pause on the video. Then he said something soft. Okeke. I know you. You forget I taught you mathematics in primary school. A few people in the crowd chuckled nervously. Pa Sunday continued, one of your boys recorded this. He sent it to someone in the village last night because he felt something was wrong. Chibuzo's head spun. Recorded? Who? Then he remembered. Last night, one of the younger apprentices, Chima, had been cleaning near the counter when Uncle sent everyone away early. Chima had looked scared. Chibuzo hadn't asked why. Now he knew. Chief Okeke stepped closer to Pa Sunday. You want to disgrace me? He hissed. But it was too late. The crowd had already chosen a new story. And this one was worse. Someone whispered, he framed him. Another voice said, ah. His own brother's son. Chibuzo's hands trembled as the rope fell completely off. He rubbed his wrists slowly. His eyes were not angry. They were hurt. He looked at his uncle and asked quietly. Why? Chief Okeke didn't answer. Because sometimes when the truth is exposed, silence is the only thing left. Crowds are loud when accusing. But they are even louder when judging. By evening, the whole market knew. By night, half of Alaba knew. By the next morning, Umwagu village knew. People stopped greeting Chief Okeke warmly. Customers reduced. Whispers followed him like smoke. Chibuzo thought he would feel victorious. He didn't. He felt tired. Very tired. Pa Sunday found him sitting behind the shop later that day. You are free now, the old man said gently. Chibuzo nodded. But I have nothing, he whispered. That was the part people didn't clap for. Yes, his name was cleared. But he still had no money. No settlement. No business. No home. Pa Sunday sighed. You can return to the village, he said. Let things cool down. Return. The word felt heavy again. Going back without success felt like failure. But staying in Lagos with nothing felt worse. That night, Chibuzo packed his nylon bag again. The same bag from 7 years ago. He did not say goodbye to his uncle. As he stepped outside the compound in Ajagunal, he paused. He looked back once. Chief Okeke stood by the gate. Their eyes met. For a second, Chibuzo thought the uncle might say sorry. He didn't. He just turned and went inside. And that hurt more than the accusation. The bus ride to the village was long. Lagos noise slowly turned into quiet trees. When Chibuzo reached Umwagu, the air smelled like soil and firewood. His mother saw him first. Buzo, she cried, dropping the bowl she was washing. She hugged him tightly. His father came out slowly. He didn't ask many questions. He simply said, "You are home." For weeks, Chibuzo helped on the farm. He fetched water. He cut grass. He avoided gatherings. Even though his name was cleared, gossip still moved. Children whispered, "That's the boy that almost went to prison." At night, he lay on the old wooden bed, staring at the ceiling. He felt small again. Like he had traveled in a big circle only to return to where he started. And that is when he met her. It happened on a Tuesday afternoon near the borehole. Chibuzo was pumping water when he heard a voice behind him. Are you going to finish all the water in the village? He turned. She stood there wearing a simple yellow dress. Braided hair. Clear skin. Confident eyes. He recognized her. Amaka Nwafer. Chief Nwafer's daughter. The richest man in 3 neighboring towns. Chibuzo quickly stepped aside. Sorry, he muttered. She smiled. I was joking. There was no pride in her voice. That surprised him. Over the next few days, they kept meeting near the borehole. Near the mango tree, near the small shop that sold biscuits. At first, they talked about small things. Weather. Village drama. Her studies in Enugu. Then one evening, she asked softly. What really happened in Lagos? Chibuzo hesitated. Then he told her everything. Not like a hero. Not like a victim. Just like a tired young man explaining a wound. She listened without interrupting. When he finished, she said something simple. I believe you. He blinked. Why? She shrugged. You don't talk like someone who steals. He laughed softly. That was the first real laugh he had in months. Weeks turned into months. They started taking evening walks past the small Catholic church. Sometimes they sat under the big Yadala tree. Sometimes they argued about small things, like whether Lagos was better than the village. She would tease him. Lagos boy. He would tease her back. Big man's daughter. He forgot his shame when he was with her. She made him feel possible. One rainy afternoon, they ran into an empty classroom at the old primary school to escape the storm. Rain hit the zinc roof loudly. They laughed, breathless. Silence followed. The kind that feels warm. Amaka looked at him differently. He looked at her differently too. And sometimes, that is all it takes. Love is not always planned. Sometimes it grows quietly in broken places. 3 months later, Amaka called him behind her father's compound. Her hands were shaking. What is it? He asked, worried. She looked at him, eyes glossy. I am pregnant. The world stopped again. Chibuzo felt his knees weaken. Not because he didn't love her. But because he had nothing. No income. No house. No plan. He swallowed hard. Are you sure? She nodded. Silence stretched between them. Then she said softly. My father will find out. That sentence carried more fear than thunder. Chief Nwafer was not just wealthy. He was powerful. Men stood when he entered a room. Even elders lowered their voices around him. Chibuzo felt sweat gather at the back of his neck. I will not run, he said quietly. Amaka stared at him. Promise? He nodded. But inside, fear and courage were fighting. And he didn't know which one would win. 2 days later, a message came. Chief wants to see you. No greeting. No explanation. Just that. Chibuzo washed his face carefully before going. His mother watched him silently. His father placed a hand on his shoulder. Speak truth, his father said. Chibuzo walked to Chief Nwafer's compound. The gate was tall. The security man opened it without smiling. Inside, the compound was wide and clean. Chief Nwafer sat on a large chair on the veranda. White agbada. Serious face. Amaka stood behind him. Her eyes were red. Chibuzo's heart pounded like a drum. He stepped forward. Good evening, sir. Chief Nwafer did not greet back. Instead, he asked one question. Did you touch my daughter? The air felt heavy. Chibuzo's throat went dry. This was the moment. Run, and become a coward forever. Or stand, and risk everything. He looked at Amaka. Then at the chief. Yes, sir, he said. The compound went silent. Even the birds seemed to pause. Chief Nwafor slowly stood up. He walked down the steps toward Chibuzo. Close enough to feel his breath. Then he said something that made Chibuzo's heart slam even harder. Then you will marry her. Chibuzo blinked. Relief rushed in. But the chief was not finished. I will sponsor the wedding, Chief Nwafor continued calmly. And after that, I will send both of you abroad. Chibuzo's mind exploded. Abroad? Opportunity? Redemption? Hope? But then the chief leaned closer and added one more sentence. If you fail my daughter, I will destroy you. The words were not shouted. They were whispered. And somehow, that made them scarier. Amaka grabbed Chibuzo's hand gently. But Chibuzo could not move. Because in that moment, he realized something. His life had just changed again. Not slowly. Not gently. But suddenly. And he didn't know if he had just been saved. Or placed inside a new kind of pressure. That night, alone in his small room, Chibuzo sat on the edge of his bed. Marriage. Abroad. A second chance. Or another trap. He stared at his reflection in the small cracked mirror. Can I really do this? He whispered to himself. Outside, thunder rolled in the distance. And inside the Nwafor compound, Chief Nwafor was on the phone with someone, saying something that Chibuzo could not hear. But the chief's final words before hanging up were clear. Prepare the documents. We are moving fast. Chibuzo did not know it yet. But the move abroad would come with a condition. A condition that would test him harder than Lagos ever did. And this time, there would be no Pa Sunday to press play on a video. The wedding happened fast. Too fast. 1 week, people were whispering about pregnancy. The next week, canopies were rising in Chief Nwafor's compound. White chairs. Loud speakers. Big pots of jollof rice that made the whole street smell rich. Chibuzo stood at the front of the church wearing a cream-colored suit that felt too expensive for his body. His palms were sweating. The pastor smiled kindly. Young man, do you take Amaka as your wife? I do, Chibuzo said, voice steady. But inside, he was shaking. Not because he didn't love her. Because he felt like someone who had been pulled from the ground and placed on a stage without rehearsal. After the reception, Chief Nwafor called him aside. They stood behind the house, away from the music. I have started your visa process, the chief said calmly. You will go to the UK. I have a friend there. Chibuzo nodded slowly. You will not waste this, the chief continued. It wasn't a question. No, sir, Chibuzo answered. Chief Nwafor looked at him for a long moment. Then, softer, he said, I was poor once. Chibuzo blinked. The chief rarely shared personal stories. I will help you, he said quietly. But you must build something of your own. I will not carry you forever. That night, as Amaka lay beside him, Chibuzo stared at the ceiling again. But this time, it wasn't the cracked ceiling of his parents' house. It was a painted one. Smooth. Clean. And he whispered in the dark, I won't fail. He wasn't sure who he was talking to. God. Himself. Or the fear still sitting in his chest. London was cold. The first breath he took outside the airport felt like ice entering his lungs. Amaka squeezed his hand. They stayed in a small flat arranged by Chief Nwafor's friend. It wasn't fancy. But it was safe. The first month was hard. Very hard. Chibuzo worked at a warehouse at night, loading heavy boxes. During the day, he studied how electronics import worked in the UK. Sometimes he came home so tired he forgot to remove his shoes before sleeping. Amaka would laugh softly and push him. "Buzo, you're still wearing your boots." Their baby was born in winter. A small boy. Crying loudly like he owned the hospital. Chibuzo held his son in his arms and felt something shift inside him. Responsibility is different when you see it breathing. He worked harder. He saved money carefully. He remembered Alaba Market. The noise. The bargaining. The profit margins. One day, while sitting at a small table in their flat, he said to Amaka, "What if I start importing spare parts from Asia into Nigeria?" She looked at him carefully. "Do you have the capital?" "Not yet," he admitted. "But I have knowledge. And knowledge can be more powerful than money." The first shipment almost ruined him. He borrowed part of the money from Chief Nwafor, not as a gift, but as a loan. "Pay me back," the chief said firmly. "I will," Chibuzo promised. But when the goods arrived in Nigeria, there was a delay at the port. Customs issues. Paperwork confusion. Extra fees. Money started disappearing fast. Chibuzo stayed awake nights, staring at his phone, calculating numbers again and again. "What if this is Lagos all over again?" he whispered once. Amaka sat beside him. "You are not that boy anymore," she said gently. But fear doesn't listen to encouragement. It listens to memory. And his memory told him, every time you rise, something pulls you down. Then came the phone call. A business partner in Lagos said, "If you don't clear these goods by Friday, storage fees will swallow your profit." Friday was 3 days away. Chibuzo felt pressure building behind his eyes. For a second, just 1 second, he considered giving up. Selling everything. Returning home quietly. Living small. Safe. But then he looked at his son sleeping in the corner. And something inside him hardened. "No," he muttered. He called contacts. Negotiated. Reduced costs. Borrowed temporarily. Paid strategically. Friday came. The goods were cleared. He didn't celebrate. He just sat down on the kitchen floor and exhaled. Sometimes victory is not loud. Sometimes it is just survival. That first shipment sold well. Then the second. Then the third. Chibuzo slowly built relationships with traders in Lagos again, but this time, he was not an apprentice. He was a supplier. His name started appearing in conversations. "Call Chibuzo," someone would say. "He delivers good quality." Within 5 years, he opened a warehouse in Lagos. Then another. He paid Chief Nwafor back fully. Every naira. When he handed the final payment envelope to his father-in-law, the chief smiled slightly. "You have become a man," he said. Years passed. Cars came. Houses came. Respect came. But Chibuzo never forgot sleeping on the floor in Ajagunal. He never forgot the rope tightening around his wrist. One December, news reached him quietly. Chief Okeke's business had collapsed. Competition had entered Alaba Market. Younger traders were sharper. Online sales reduced his walk-in customers. Poor investments drained his savings. Then his wife fell sick. Hospital bills piled up. Worst of all, he could not pay his children's school fees. The same man who once feared being outshined was now sitting in darkness. Chibuzo heard the news while sitting in his office in Lagos. He stared at the wall for a long time. He could ignore it. He could say, "It is not my problem." he could enjoy silent revenge. Nobody would blame him. Instead, he booked a ticket home to Umwagu. The village had changed slightly. More houses. More motorcycles. But Chief Okeke's compound looked smaller than before. The gate paint was peeling. Chibuzo walked in alone. No convoy. No noise. Chief Okeke sat outside on a plastic chair. He looked older. Thinner. When he saw Chibuzo, he stiffened. "You," the uncle said quietly. Chibuzo nodded respectfully. "Good afternoon, sir." The old man's pride flickered. "I heard you are doing well." "Yes, sir." Silence stretched. Birds chirped somewhere in a nearby tree. Finally, Chief Okeke muttered, "Things are hard." He didn't look at Chibuzo while saying it. Chibuzo sat down opposite him. For a moment, the past felt close again. The shop. The envelope. The rope. He swallowed. Then he said gently, "I heard the children stopped school." The uncle's jaw tightened. "Temporary," he said quickly. Chibuzo nodded. He reached into his bag and pulled out an envelope. He placed it on the small table between them. "What is that?" Chief Okeke asked. "School fees," Chibuzo replied. "For this term. And next term." The uncle's eyes widened. "I don't need." "Yes, you do," Chibuzo said softly. Not proud. Not mocking. Just honest. Chief Okeke stared at the envelope like it was something dangerous. Then he whispered something unexpected. "I was afraid of you." Chibuzo blinked. The old man continued, voice low and rough. "You were bright. People praised you. I felt smaller." The confession hung in the air. Chibuzo felt something loosen inside his chest. "I never wanted to compete with you," he said quietly. "I just wanted a chance." Silence. Long. Heavy. Then Chief Okeke's eyes grew wet. And for the first time in many years, the powerful man looked human. "I am sorry," he whispered. Not loud. Not dramatic. But real. Chibuzo nodded slowly. "I forgave you a long time ago," he said. And that was true. Because carrying anger would have made him heavy. And he had already carried enough. Months later, at a community meeting, elders stood up and praised Chibuzo. "He has built jobs for our youth," one man said. "He supports the school," another added. But Chibuzo stood and said something simple. "Do not worship me," he said calmly. "Help the next child instead." People clapped. Chief Okeke sat quietly in the crowd. Not as the only light. Not as the brightest. But no longer in darkness either. Because sometimes, when one light rises, it doesn't have to kill another. It can share. If you like this story or stories like this, please like, comment and subscribe.